Hi, everyone. My name's PK, and here I have John with me, who's a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. And in this, next 10, 15 minutes, we'll be going through the two deals that he's bought this year. We'll be talking about his property background. We'll be talking about what he's learned and how he's been able to build his portfolio. So if you're new, or if you're relatively new, only have one or two or three properties, and you're thinking, I don't know what to do next, I don't know where to buy, I don't have a clear strategy, then John's insights and experience, I hope, will bring you a ton of value. So if they do, and if you do enjoy this, then hit the subscribe button, turn notification bell on, and always give it a like. That way it just goes to more people. But before I say too much else, John, I just wanted to, like I said before, thank you for making the time for this, man.
Thanks, okay, no worries.
So I'll just start with your deals, John, if you don't mind. Hopefully I've got all the numbers right. So the first deal that John bought was purchase price $401,500. He beat 12 other bidders to get this property. It was an incredibly hot location in Northern Adelaide. The rent was $370 a week, so that is positive cash flow on an interest-only basis, which is what we like to see. The block size huge, 720 square meters, just a standard fundamental good property purchase that has allowed him now to kind of, catapult him into the next one, build his confidence. And the next one is even better. Check this one out. So the purchase price, $368,500. The valuation on this one, according to comparables, will be close to $400,000. So really good price he's got it at. The negotiation was made easy because the owners really needed to sell. So he leveraged the negotiation skills that he learned. And the yield is 6.8%, $480 per week, right? So he bought it for $368. The rent will be $480. So incredible yield. This one is over in WA in Perth. And look, I think you mentioned to me before, John, that the building and pest inspector said that this was probably the best property that they have inspected in the last 3 years. So, just because it's established doesn't mean it's got problems with it. Really good two purchases. And I just want to unpack a little bit your story, and John, and hopefully for everyone's watching, just share some gold nuggets so that they can get value out of how you did this. So without fluffing on too much from my side, maybe just share your property background before you did the Property Investment Accelerator. Who were you? What was your portfolio? What was that story looking like?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, PK. Yeah, so our investment journey started towards the end of 2017. So we're based in Tassie, in Hobart. We bought our sort of PPOR then, and we probably have benefited well with regards to, as you know all too well, the market with regards to Hobart has been really successful, and we bought a 4-bed, 3-bath for about $444 back on September 2017, and now that property is probably upwards of sort of 800-ish, give or take at the moment. We've done really well on that, and from there we thought, well, what can we do to sort of help set ourselves up? We've got 2 young daughters, and we want to sort of get our foot in the investment area and set ourselves up for our daughters and their futures going forward. So what sort of triggered us initially, and which was the hook, is that we came across some of these spruiking land package deals that I think a lot of us would probably see thereabouts, and the hook for this one was a free laptop for every guest attending one of these sessions. So we went in there with no intention to buy a property. We thought, we need a new laptop, we'll go along, we'll have a listen. We wanted to get involved in the property space, so we thought, well, we can learn a bit more about this, and we can also get a laptop as well. So from there, needless to say, we walked out and we actually purchased a property in West Brisbane. So it's funny how things can change dramatically. I think they sold it so well to us, and all the benefits and tax depreciation, and this is going to set you up. So they had a really reformed package, and we dove in there and we ate it all up, and we did it. But on reflection, looking back now, knowing what I know now, and having done your course as well, I think it'd be good to have that time again. But it is what it is. No regrets, you move on. But the good thing from that is that it's opened us up to your course, to learning more about the property investment game, And as you mentioned through, our two latest deals that we've got through now. So now we have, our PBR and our 3 investment properties, which hopefully, there might be more investment properties to come.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, you've been really, call it fortune or call it skill or whatever. You've been really, I guess, benefited by the Hobart deal. You've been able to pull equity out of that property because Hobart's done so well. The next one through that property investment company, not so much in Ipswich. But I think I just want to emphasize this because there's still so many people that click those ads, go to those seminars and buy those off the plan plot properties or house and land packages because of the tax reasons. And you yourself know, John, just compare how that has grown to something that you've bought even more recently. Like even these 2 properties have probably grown far more than that Ipswich one, and you've had that for longer. But when that happens, and this is completely natural, you kind of start to have some distrust towards, property experts, property investment companies, people like me. So I know you did a whole bunch of due diligence. You're probably very dubious about this guy named PK and what he's trying to sell. A lot of people are on the fence of doing the Property Investment Accelerator. It's not for everyone, right? You need to actually have a keen interest in learning. But what is the kind of due diligence that you did on my humble self before kind of mustering up the courage to say, yep, I'm going to part with what's not a small amount of money and do the course?
Yeah. So definitely, I think going through that first experience that I mentioned with the offer plan, we probably were a bit dubious and a bit more, not wanting to be, once bitten, twice shy, I guess you could say. And I spent a lot of time looking at your various videos that you'd done, learning more about the property game, investing, and what we need to sort of, what's the key measures, what's the key market, what's the key indicators. You talk about your 30, 35 indicators in your eyes. So it probably was a good 4 months, I think, before we sort of, digested all that and built that confidence and built that, authenticity, I think, that you put across as well, and then reached out for a bit of a initial call. I think I hope that I'm a pretty good judge on people and a good read on character. And I think I got that into sort of vibe with you from the start that, this could be a really good working relationship. And then, obviously we went from there and we jumped in and I think the course just opened our eyes to so many other things that we've never thought about. It just all made sense. It was just, it just made so much more clarity for us. And I think from there, it's helped us, pick up 2 good deals over the last, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. No, thanks for taking that leap of faith. And I think I'll just ask you the question for everyone's benefit. There's so much free information online, like on YouTube, Facebook groups, podcasts, like you're literally drowning in free information. What did you learn from the course? Of course, you can't go into everything in detail, but like, what did you learn from the course that you couldn't have got from free information? Or what was the actual value of doing it, given that there's so much free stuff online anyway?
Yeah, there is, and that's the big mindset, isn't it? You sort of got so much stuff out there, and how you're picking out what's real, what's reality. And I think with yours, I'm a big data man. In terms of my employment, in terms of my life, I love data, I love numbers, love facts, and I think data speaks to me with the course that you have. It just paints it in that we're not going on feelings, we're not going on emotions, we're going on data. We don't know what data tells us. So I think all that extrapolation and that the coordination with the data that's presented within your course, it just makes so much sense for myself. So I think that's the sort of thing you don't get. I think in these various things that you can find in the internet, on social media, and all that sort of stuff, I don't think that holistic view is available.
Yeah, I always say as well, like, I'm just another guru or whatever you want to call it, but ultimately it's not my opinion or your opinion that matters, John. It's the data that speaks for itself. And I guess, let's just kind of dive deep into the second property that you purchased for 368,500, renting at 480. This was over in Perth. So, Perth has got this kind of stigma of being, a terrible place to invest because of the mining downturn and everything that's happened since the last 5 or 6 years. Just talk us through, if you can, John, like, how did you build your confidence to go to this particular suburb in Perth? How did you do that due diligence? You know, like you're in Hobart, Perth's a long way away. How did you do your due diligence, and how did you actually, you know, kind of find this deal? You know, people aren't finding 7% yielding deals every day of the week. So to the extent that you can, just share some knowledge for everyone's benefit.
Yeah, sure. So I think, yeah, particularly again, you know, crunching the numbers, looking at the data, it was pointing us to WA, and I sort of echo your thoughts there. You know, there's a bit of risk around WA with regards to its market, but I think our success with Adelaide, we were willing to sort of take a bit of a jump there as well. But it was just ultimately that data which was speaking to us. We engaged with Ashley on the ground, and she's been fantastic. You know, being our eyes and ears on the ground in regards to what properties were out there. And this particular one just came up out of the blue. It only been online for a couple of hours. I sort of got on the phone to Ashley, spoke with the selling agents. They knew each other. So and I think for me, and you speak about often as well, is relationships and rapport building is so pretty cool. Like that's you know, half of the game. I think obviously the data and numbers tell you things, but I think relationships is huge. So I think building that rapport, getting some intel on what's going on is so critical. And for this particular one, I was able to, along with Ashley as well, is to just learn a bit more about the selling party motivations, like why they were selling. And there was a bit of a sad one, unfortunately, where there was an older couple who had spent a lot of money investing, or you know, putting the property up to a really good standard. And that was going to be their sort of forever home. But the wife got quite unwell, and they had to sell with a view to sell quickly to move closer to family for support. So we sort of got some intel that they were sort of not willing to go below sort of the 359 mark. We initially went in with a 361 and a half. And we decided to go on, based on the intel as well, is not to go with any position. So we didn't have a pest inspection, doing inspection, it was just a flat out offer. So it's obviously a little bit risky, but we're sort of confident in having a crack and just putting it out there. So our offer additional was a bit low, below someone else's. There was 2 offers on the table, but the agent came back and said, well, they're happy with the conditions. Can you have another go? And then we went to 3685 and got the deal. So obviously a little bit of risk, and I wouldn't recommend people jump in there without you building a pair. But I think that intel that we had, and it worked out well, as you mentioned, you know, the building inspection was made, and there was the best that they'd seen in a 3-year period. So we sort of, that sort of validated it for us as well, that it was the right move to take. And that's not going to be available to everybody, but just being adaptable and flexible with, you know, your conditions or what you're offering, just to try and get that deal. And I know in Adelaide, when we had that property, we're finding that we were hitting numbers and not being successful because our valuation probably wasn't right. So we, you know, whereby you're paying maybe an extra 10,000, if it's a great opportunity, the value is worth it at the time. That's what it goes for. So I think it's just backing yourself, relationship, building rapport. If you treat the agent on the ground and the property managers well, then they're going to look after you and your property will be well maintained and looked after as well. So yeah, that's sort of in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, well explained. I think you mentioned data before. Data is obviously paramount, but relationships, and you know, oftentimes people think that you need to outsource that, you know, relationship intellectual property, that there are people who, because they've been in the industry for 5, 10, 15 years, agents, buyers agents, property investment companies, they need to outsource that. But I mean, you're a testament to the relationships can be formed very quickly. You just need to be a nice person, treat agents like human beings, property managers like human beings. It's not just a business transaction. Be a nice person and they'll look after you, even if they don't know you for more than 2 weeks, right? That's just the reality. It is what it is. And I think the other thing that I just want to pick up that you said was that you backed yourself. I think this is almost like the number one problem that property investors have. Like, set aside data and everything like that. People always second guess themselves, right? Always second guess themselves in terms of where to buy and then how to buy, you know, the price to pay, how to negotiate, but all this can be learned. And there's so many people that think, you know, I'm just not smart enough. I'm just not clued on enough. I'm just not good enough to do this myself. Like, my message, and probably what you're suggesting as well, John, is that you can do this, right? You just need to get some education. Doesn't have to be through me, like there's other people giving education as well, but education forms confidence. That's the reality. Knowledge is power. So I think that's what you did. And I think that the great thing that you've done that I noticed in our email correspondences as well is like focus. Like you've been asking targeted questions to me to make sure you're doing the right thing, but then you just actually focused and done it, right? I think that's sort of the mindset or mentality that for everyone who's listening, you need to have if you want to realistically build, 50, 100, 150K passive income. It's not a fly in the night type of thing. You need to have determination and more than just motivation, you need to have discipline, focus and discipline. So I think that's what strikes me about your execution of those two deals,
Yeah.
John.
And I think it's particularly I like this saying, I'm not sure who said it, but Jim, and I think it's a good one for life in general as well, is in most circumstances, doing something is better than doing nothing. So I think it's that sort of, backing yourself to confidence and having a go.
Yeah. Okay, last question from me. I have to ask it. So like, there are probably here on YouTube, Facebook group, other places, probably hundreds of people on the fence thinking, is this PK guy legit? He seems to have some good testimonials, but not sure of paid actors. All this kind of like worry goes through people's minds. In all authenticity and honesty and transparency, if someone is on the fence and they have, 3, 4, 5 hours of spare a week to devote to learning and execution, would you recommend the Property Investment Accelerator?
Yes, 100%. I think it's if you're thinking about, buyer's agents and you point someone to do that for you. For the two properties that I've had, I might have spent 20, 25, 30,000 for someone to source that to it, and I've done it for, nowhere near that amount, and I know so much more about the property investment game through your course. So yeah, I couldn't encourage people to get off that fence. Have a crack. I'm not a paid actor, and you'll learn a lot. It's really, really good for something you can carry with you for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life.
Yeah, no, awesome. And yeah, like thank you so much, John, for making the time early in the morning. And for everyone that's watching, I try to make these videos as non-salesy as possible. So hopefully there was some actual value that we discussed and John shared that you can kind of put in your pocket and apply, even if you're not looking to do the Property Investment Accelerator. Things like data, like backing yourself, those relationships, agents, all that kind of thing. Do it yourself, have a crack. And if you want to do it with me, if you want to do the Property Investment Accelerator, do your due diligence. John did it for 4 months. Probably you don't need to do it for 4 months, but there's more than 40 of these types of videos with clients where I'm sharing their stories, or they're sharing their own stories. Go to my YouTube. There's a whole playlist of more than 40 of them. Go to my website, check it out, but that's enough of marketing. Thank you so much for watching, John. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Victor.
All right, catch you later, guys. Bye.